Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where the Euros are officially underway and the sun is shining. Everything is so much better when the sun is out, isn't it? Even if the so-called Freedom Day has been delayed for a few weeks here in the UK, I have food in my belly and a licence for my telly, as Paolo Nutini once sang, so nothing's going to bring me down. But this is a tech podcast, and today I'm going to introduce you all to Ken Fine, the new CEO of a company called Heap, which is a leading analytics platform helping product, marketing and customer success teams craft exceptional digital experiences that convert and retain users. But I want to learn more about that technology that they use to bring all that to life, and also about how Ken is taking hold of a company that has outperformed on ARR expectations in the last year and raised $191 million over 9 funding rounds. And I want to learn more about how he's going to continue that and propel the company forward, and learn more about the story behind the company, the technology, and all the usual stuff. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to the US so we can speak with Ken right now. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Ken. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Absolutely, Neil. Great to be here. So I am the CEO of Heap. Heap is a digital insights platform, which we'll talk more about today. In short, we help our customers understand and improve the digital journeys of their customers. In terms of my background, I started my career as a naval officer, and within the Navy worked as an engineer and a physicist. So I had a technical beginnings. After completing my naval service, I went to business school and have spent the last, now 20 plus years in high growth B2B SaaS, growth stage businesses, venture-backed businesses, most of which were doing something interesting with large amounts of data and some type of algorithmic intellectual property sitting on top of that data set.
Now, a few moments ago, you mentioned the word digital journey there. And one thing I always try and do on this daily tech podcast is also try and find out a little bit more about the human origin story behind a career. And I read that you've hinted on it there, but about your leadership style of technical excellence and accountability, and how much of that was influenced by your time in the Navy as an engineer designing and constructing submarine propulsion systems. It feels like there's an incredible story there. So can you expand on that?
Indeed, there is a story there, and there's definite influence. So if I were to try to characterize my point of view on leadership and the styles that I've been most impressed with and have tried to emulate, and I'll relate it to my naval background, it would be those leadership styles that balance two things. And they balance empathy with accountability. And I've worked with leaders who are strong in one and some who are strong in the other. And I think you get some magic when you combine the two together. You can hold your teammates accountable. You can also be empathetic and supportive. And in fact, by doing that well, you earn the right to be accountable. Within the Navy, I worked in a very particular portion of the Navy that was founded by a well-known admiral in Navy history his name is Admiral Rickover. And we, as you mentioned, designed the propulsion systems for submarines. So what was interesting about that and relevant to this conversation is the downside of failure in that environment was very high because people's lives are at stake. So as a result, as an engineer, the level of rigor, thoroughness, excellence that you were expected to deliver was very high. And to the point where if you put your name on something, you said, this design is solid, this design is complete, this design is ready to build, that was a big deal because that meant that it was ready to build and it was ready for people to put their lives on. So I learned a lot about building with rigor and building high quality technical systems during that formative period of my career.
Such a great story. And today, of course, you are the CEO of Heap, the leading analytics platform. So can you tell me a little bit more about how you're using technology now to help product marketing and customer success teams craft those exceptional digital experiences and those digital journeys you mentioned at the very beginning of our conversation that actually convert and retain users?
Absolutely. So from a technology standpoint, we really combine two things at Heap. One is a very powerful data capture capability. So again, in short, what we're doing is helping our customers understand and improve the digital journeys of theirs. So to do so, we need to capture all that digital data, every click, every swipe, every digital interaction. So piece one of our technology is an approach to data capture that the industry now refers to as auto capture, which means we basically capture everything and we keep it forever, all the digital interactions, the full digital journey. The second piece of our technology that is newer, and in fact we'll be announcing broadly in the coming weeks, is a powerful data science set of capabilities, a data science layer that is specifically designed to take advantage of and leverage that auto capture data set. So the result for a user or for a customer is we now can look at every journey, so every path that every user has ever taken since Heap was installed. And then we can tell our customers where to look. Where are the elements of those journeys that are important? Where is there friction in those journeys? Which users are completing successfully and unsuccessfully? We can essentially shine a flashlight on the elements of that massive set of data that are relevant to our users.
And in the few moments we've been talking, it's pretty clear to me that you have a certain amount of principles that you live by. So can I ask that you expand on that and also how those principles will manifest in Heap's product offerings too?
Sure. So in terms of principles, it's an interesting question. I put them in two categories. There's a set of principles that are personal principles that I really do live my life by, and then others that are business principles that are more tailored to the marketplace or to the workplace. On the personal side, I've got three actually that I live my life by and that are part of my family's values, and those are follow your heart, be your best self. So the first is follow your heart. The second is be your best self, or put differently, do your best work. And the third is help others. So my point of view is, hey, if you're following your heart and following your passion, whatever you pick, do the absolute best version of that you can, be the best version of yourself possible. And then if in there you're doing things that help other people, hopefully you're living a meaningful life. And that, those types of principles, they show up in different vernacular within Heap's culture and within Heap's values. Now, on the product side, which is where you asked, I bring to bear our business principles, or a business principle that I hold dear, that I learned years ago from a mentor. And that is, I frame it, or I nickname it, nail it before you scale it. Or the real short version is nail it, scale it. And the idea there is that before you put lots of energy and resources into scaling your product or scaling your sales organization or your marketing organization, you need to have a reason to believe that what you're working on is ready for scale, i.e. you've nailed it. And that's where Heap fits in. So Heap is really a platform that's built to support agile and rapid hypothesis-driven experimentation. And so that's how that principle that I've been living with now for several decades of business manifests in our product.
Nail it before you scale it. I absolutely love that. And I was chatting to a guest recently who said that every business, no matter what size it is going to have more data tomorrow than they have today. So I'm curious, from your point of view, do you think the companies should be investing in data systems, especially when looking to scale? Is that more important than ever now, do you think?
It is more important. Here's how I think about it. If you step back and you look at how do most companies compete today? What's the basis for competition? Well, the basis for competition has now evolved to a point where it's largely based on customer experience. Now, customer experience has always been important, but as we have moved to a more and more digitally dominated world, the importance of that customer experience, and then I'll add digital experience, has grown. And therefore, to do that requires customer understanding. If you're going to make your digital experience effective, you need to develop customer understanding at scale in an environment of rapid change. We've obviously seen a lot of change just within the last, let's say, 15 plus months with the pandemic. So to accommodate that environment, you do need data systems that can enable you as an organization to capture and assess that massive set of data that describes the experiences of your customers. So more important than ever, and growing in importance and increasing. Right.
For people that are listening and hearing about Heap for the first time, what would you say it is that makes you different from your competitors out there? Because it can feel like it's a crowded market sometimes, but you do something a little bit unique to others, don't you?
We do. So what's unique about the approach we've taken to our platform and to this market, I would characterize in the context of vertical integration. And when I say vertical integration, we have integrated two things, and we've done so very deliberately, and we've done so very well. And that is piece one I mentioned before, that is the technology that allows us to capture the digital journey. We do that uniquely well. So we, again, use a technology called auto capture. Our version is very potent and captures the full digital journey. That's just piece one. What really turns that into a compelling value proposition and a differentiated one is the data science capabilities we've built. And again, most companies, and certainly SaaS companies, have some version of data science. Ours is unique, and it's been built from the ground up specifically to leverage the unique data set that we have. So you need A and B to produce the types of insights we're producing. And to bring that to life a little bit, what we're creating is what I would characterize as the best platform in the world to help customers figure out how to get their users from point A to point B, from one point in a digital experience to another point in a digital experience. And I'd be happy to give some examples.
I was going to say there, yeah, just to bring to life everything that we're talking about today. Do you have any client stories or examples that will just help listeners understand the kind of problems that you're solving with your technology?
I'd be happy to. Let me give a couple of use cases or examples that'll make my comment a little less abstract and a little bit more specific. So let's say, for example, you are a growth marketer at an e-commerce company, and you're trying to figure out how to get users or more of them or a higher percentage of visitors from a particular location on your site. We can keep the example simple. Let's say a homepage or a landing page, to completing a purchase experience of a particular product. Well, what Heap will do is you tell us those two data points. Hey, I'm trying to get users from A, from this starting point, to B, purchase. We will then look at every single journey, every single path that any user has ever taken on your site to try and complete that purchase, whether it's successful or unsuccessful. And we'll look at that over the full history of time that Heap has been installed. And then we will shine a light on the specific journeys within that large set that matter, the successful ones, the unsuccessful ones. And that's something you just can't do on your own. So that's an example for e-commerce. And then the themes are similar. Let's say you're a financial services company and you're trying to acquire customers, or you're trying to expand your relationship with customers with other financial products. Same thing. We'll look at every journey that every visitor or every customer has ever taken, and then we'll point out the ones that really matter and make suggestions as to how you can improve those journeys. And then last, let's say you're a product manager for a B2B SaaS application, and you're trying to improve engagement or retention or expansion. Same thing. You tell Heap, hey, I'm trying to help get people from A to B to complete this particular use case, for example. And we'll look at everyone who has tried to do so forever and tell you which of those journeys are successful, which are unsuccessful, and interventions that might make them better.
And something else I wanted to highlight is, before you came on the podcast today, I learned when doing a bit of research that Heap has outperformed on ARR expectations in the last year and raised an incredible $95.2 million to date. So can you tell me more about your recent successes and what this means to you guys?
I'd be happy to. So The way I think about our business and our space and some of our momentum is as follows. As I mentioned before, digital experience is becoming more important. COVID actually has created a bit of a tailwind in that respect in terms of pushing companies to invest in and improve their digital experiences because more and more people are interacting that way. So think about that as a market force. Second, agility is becoming more important. So the ability to move quickly, make decisions quickly, do so in a decentralized way within larger organizations. You're not dependent upon a centralized analytics team, but rather product managers and marketers can operate independently. So those are the two drivers. And then what we've done internally to help leverage and take advantage of that is three things. One, big investments in our classic sales-led motions. When I say classic, the gold standard there, in my opinion, would be like the PTC models created by John McMahon. For those who want a good book to read on that, I would look at the qualified sales leaders. So one, an investment there. Two, an investment in product-led growth. So enabling customers and prospective customers to experiment with Heap without the use or without the engagement with the salesperson. And then third is working closely with partners, both technology partners and solutions partners, to provide greater leverage. So we've got those tailwinds driving the market broadly, and then those three go-to-market strategies that we're using to help accelerate Heap.
And you have been building on your 20 years of experience leading growth B2B SaaS companies, but what's next for you guys? Where do you go from here? And what's your grand vision for Heap?
Well, I've talked about how we're different, and really what we intend to do in the future is build upon that foundation. So Heap started, chapter one of Heap was really on the data capture side. Today, I've talked about marrying the data capture layer with a data science layer. The latter piece, data science layer, is new for us. We're making some announcements in the coming weeks in terms of those capabilities. So for us, the future is all about focus. So we are doubling down and tripling down and investing in that vertically integrated set of technology capabilities, which, as I said, help users get from A to B, and we tell our customers where to look. And a next step, as you think about going at 20, looking out in the future, I'm thinking about Heap as really being like a digital insights operating system. Think of it as the brain that connects to an ecosystem of other technology partners, such as partners we work with today: Snowflake, Intercom, Iterable, Split.io, partners who can consume the insights that are coming from our platform, and then can take action, enable our customers to take action on those insights. So that's how I see our platform growing, and how I see it driving and integrating with the technology ecosystem that we have today.
I love that, and I love chatting with you today. But before I let you go, I'm going to throw a slight curveball at you, because a question I always like to ask my guests is if there is a particular song that has inspired them in their past, accompanied them throughout their career, or just gets them pumped before going into a big meeting or delivering a big keynote. Is there a particular song that springs to mind for you that we can add to our playlist?
Oh, that is a unique question. So I have. Is it okay if I list a couple songs?
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
I have eclectic and diverse musical interests, so I've got a few that pop into my head depending on what my mood I'm in or what I'm trying to do. So high on my list is actually Eminem. He has a song called "Till I Collapse," which is really all about perseverance, which I've embraced as a business leader, and outside of business, I'm a triathlete. So perseverance is really important. When I'm in a more team-oriented mindset, and how do we operate as a team, I go to a totally different place, which is a song called "The Chain" by Fleetwood Mac. So Fleetwood Mac and Eminem were spanning multiple decades, and perhaps somewhere in between, when I need to get pumped up and feel like I need to dominate, and then I go to Queen and "We Will Rock You," and then wrapping up when I'm feeling gratitude to my wife, my love, who I've met back in college, I go to REM. This one goes out to the one I love. And then wrapping up when I'm just need help, I think about the Beatles and "Help."
Oh man, what a great selection there. All killer and no filler, right? Man, you got great taste.
That's my list.
I love it. Absolutely love that. So before I will add those to the playlist, but before I let you go, for anyone listening that would like to find out more information about Heap, contact your team, continue the conversation we started today, what's the best way of doing that?
Best way, well, to find out about Heap, just simply heap.io. So you can learn about the business there and contact us through that website. For me personally, probably best is just to go through LinkedIn, send me a message, and I'd be delighted to respond.
Well, I'll add those links to the podcast show notes so people can find you nice and easily. But I've just loved chatting with you, learning more about Heap and your vision for the future, but more than anything, your origin story as well, and how that leadership style of technical excellence and accountability was all influenced by your time in the Navy as an engineer designing and constructing submarine propulsion systems. An incredible story. Thank you for sharing it with me, and thank you for spending a bit of time with me today.
You bet, Neil. Thanks for having me on your talk. I really appreciate it.
So a huge thank you to Ken for sharing his vision for the future of Heap, building on his 20 years of experience leading growth stage B2B SaaS companies, and also talking about the importance of companies investing in data systems, especially when they're looking to scale. But I also love the human element of today's conversation and him sharing that leadership style of technical excellence and accountability, all influenced by his time in the Navy as an engineer designing and constructing submarine propulsion systems. Incredibly cool. And all these years later, it's those principles he lives by and are helping him manifest in Heap's product offerings, in guiding him in cementing the company's position as that go-to analytics provider. So we've got a great tech story and a great human story all wrapped up. And that is why I record this podcast every single day. But I'm conscious we've got stories like this all over the world. We have startup founders, entrepreneurs, big business leaders. And rather than just celebrate the success that we hear here and now, I want to learn more about the stories behind that and how they're leveraging technology, where that passion for technology came from, and what kind of songs are their guilty pleasure and they like to listen to as they unwind. So please, if that sounds like a good fit for you too, email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com. My website is techblogwriter.co.uk. We have over 1,600 of these interviews now, so there's plenty for you to go back and listen to if you are a new listener. And again, if you are a new listener, please, if you could leave a rating or review wherever you listen to this show. I know it's something that every podcaster asks, but it really does help with the algorithms and encourages more people to come and join our little tech community we got going on here. But it's time for me to grab a cold beverage now and unwind and enjoy a bit of good old-fashioned sunshine and soak up some vitamin D as I step away from the keyboard. So a big thank you for listening, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.